Hello and welcome to episode number 109 of the WP Café show with me, Keith Devon, and my co-host, Mark Wilkinson. WP Café is the weekly show where we talk about running a WordPress business, building stuff on WordPress, stuff we've been reading, stuff we've been into, bits of news here and there. It's a bit of everything. And today we've got a good few things to talk about because we launched our most recent website project last week. This week.
This week.
And it went, we'll tell you how it went later. So lots to talk about around that project as a whole and the launch of that. What else are we talking about? We're talking about possibly speed build challenges. There's been a few of those recently, and one of which I attended last night, which was really fun and very interesting. And also a little bit about should we be more proactive as an agency? So this is something that's come from a conversation with a client we had today, and we will get into that in more detail. But before we do, Mark, how has your week been? How are you doing today?
I am well. It's been a lot slower than last week, which has been nice. So we went live on Monday. We'll talk about that in a minute. But
yeah,
it's kind of like, everything's like just a bit slower now, and we've got a bit more time, and we can just breathe a bit, which is nice.
Yep.
So it's been a nice week in terms of that, and it's been good just to get on with some other things. I've been working on something quite exciting over the last few days.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things where you never start because you think it's too hard.
Yeah.
And then I actually started. And it wasn't easy, but it kind of wasn't as hard as I thought. And it's like, ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
So it's been fun getting into some development and stuff. So yeah, it's been a good week in that sense.
Yeah, I've sort of felt the same. The launch was a real relief. Just losing my voice at a very inopportune moment. So yeah, that was good. And then excited by some of the new developments, and it's been fun recently. I've really enjoyed it. But before we get into all the topics, if you are watching along today live on YouTube, please do say hello in the comments. Let us know who you are, where you're from. That'd be great. Always nice to see familiar faces and some new ones as well. And we are also on a podcast. So this goes out on YouTube live. It also gets recorded as a podcast. So you can find that on your favorite podcast player, or wpcafe.show is the website. We're also on most of the socials, X and Blue Sky. So check us out there. Let's get on with things. So the Kim Bolton launch, I'm going to say who it was, because I think we should actually talk about the project now and not hide. I think people can look at it. So it's a school in England, and they came to us. They wanted to move off of a proprietary system that they were on onto WordPress, and we didn't do most of the design work. They had another agency. We kind of spoke a bit about that earlier on in previous episodes, but they had another design agency working for them, and we came in once the designs were done, kind of filled out the rest of the design work that needed to happen, turned it into a bit more of a design system, and then did the actual build. And in the end, we had quite a tight deadline. That the project was sort of supposed to be finished in July. Didn't actually start until I don't know, September, October or something. So it was like, and then it was like, can we get this done before Christmas? It was like, maybe. So yeah. We had quite a tight deadline in the end, but actually, I felt like it really focused us all. And
I was going to say,
decisions were made, and we got stuff done, and it was good.
Because it got to that last week. So last week actually, and I was saying to you, like, we shouldn't really be going live now. This is not, we should be putting this off another week or something. And then we had a call on Friday, didn't we, with the client, to go through everything. A long call as well, which is good.
It was.
And they were all for it. Like, even, we'd outlined some of the things that still weren't done, and we'd put some solutions in place for the thing, for what we could do instead. And they were still all for it, and they were kind of insistent on going for it. So we said, yeah, let's go for it. And actually, I think it's kind of an important lesson. When you have a deadline, it really does focus the mind to find a solution for the deadline. Whereas when you keep knocking it back, it's sort of like, well, I've got a bit of extra time now, so I'll just take a bit more time over that, or I'll just do something else first. Or having that, like, no, we're going to go live on this day, and I know it's not going to be perfect, So I think there was 3 pages that we kind of like did slightly differently than we wanted to, and we'll still do them. We're still going to do those in the coming weeks or into the new year, but they just were a bit more of a basic concept rather than what we wanted to deliver because we just didn't have time to get those over the line. But it went remarkably smoothly.
Yeah,
which was weird. It usually have some little hiccups and things, but
I think it was tricky
worked
internally because they had stuff with like internal firewalls blocking stuff and all stuff like that. But from the outside, it looked like it went really, really smoothly. It was only me pushing some rogue CSS as the headmaster was viewing the site for the first time that scuppered things on launch day. If I'd just been hands off that day of all days. But I couldn't help
trying to tweak.
I had to tweak. I was adding the animations, so that was something that was deemed not absolutely necessary for launch. But it was the first thing I got onto after the site was launched. I was like, oh yeah, I've got them working, pushed them live, caching problems, working fine for me on the live site, but everyone else had their CSS files cached or whatever. And
so we've pushed the cache busting fix now, haven't we, for that one? You sort of like set the timestamp of the file as the version number of the CSS file. So if you update the file, it'll update the version number, and then the browser will know it's an updated version.
Someone told me that was a bad thing to do once for some reason, and I can't remember why. It seems like a good thing to do to me because I need to make sure. Because I can't tell all of them to just do a hard refresh of your browser. Everyone that visits the site, I don't have that control. I could do that during the project when people were like, "Oh, it looks different for me." I'm like, "Can you just hard refresh?" And that, but like, it's out in the wild now, so I need to make sure people are seeing the actual style sheet, the current style sheet and JavaScript files and etc. So, yeah.
I know the redirects seem to be working.
Yeah,
that was always a worry, but they're all in place.
So we're doing a complete domain redirect from the old domain to the new domain, and then we're doing internal redirects if the page URLs have changed within the structure.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the old domain, if you hit an old link, for example, in an email, it'll go to the old domain, which points now to the same server, which then redirects to the primary domain, which is the new one, with the same string on the end, and then obviously that'll then load if it's at the same URL, or if it's a different URL, we've then got redirects to sort of redirect that to its new location within WordPress. And a lot stayed the same, to be fair. Like a lot of the page URLs where it makes no sense to change, there's no reason to change it, but some of the sort of news has changed, just the way WordPress does posts and things. They all had to change the structure a bit, so they had to do that. And I was able to use some like regex rules, so anything that's like got photo gallery in it, and then redirect that to the same thing called album, but with the same thing at the end, and that worked quite well rather than have to redirect every individual album and every individual news page. So it's good.
Yeah.
But seems to be working, which is good.
Yeah, it was good. There was a big rush on content. I was working over the weekend trying to get my content finished because we split the content migration between all of us, didn't we? Between everyone that was on the project. And I was frantically trying to get the front end of it all finished, and then I had the content still to do. Luckily, my content list had been reduced down significantly by other people taking up some of that slack. But that went pretty well too. I think we said last week, I was so impressed with the clients, how well they built pages, and that's a testament, I think, to the block editor actually, but also to the way we built it. So super pleased.
Yeah, they did a great job. Like, because I kind of expected to go and see the pages they've made, and then look at the block tree on the left hand side, and we've nested that in there, and they've nested that there, but no one or two little things, but
there's a few
major.
little bits like that, but nothing. Yeah.
Interestingly, the one thing they kept doing was the quote block. They kept nesting things inside a quote block. And I think that must be something with the quote block that makes it hard to get out of, or something on the editor.
It is, because what happens is you write the quote. I think you write the quote and then you hit return. You think you're out of the quote block, but you're actually writing the citation, or you're writing the second paragraph of the quote or something like that. So it's harder to get out of the quote block than it is other text blocks.
Yeah, it's
I
interesting.
think you're probably right. Yeah, there'd be
there's a
loads of
few of
stuff
those.
nested inside the quote block, and they'd be like, "Why is all the text purple?" It's like because it's a quote.
Easy fix though, which is good. Easy fix. Just drag them all out and drop them.
Just want to say a couple of hellos. So we've got Nick watching along. Hello, Nick. Elliot is here, and Ben Pollock. Ben says, "Really nice site. Thank you very much, Ben." And Elliot has said, if you set the version in your WP style and queue as file M time, which is file modified time, that will ensure the cache is always cleared if the style file is modified, and that's exactly what we've done. Yeah, that's what we're using, isn't it? I think file M time. That's how we've done it. Which is a technique I've been using for a very, very long time, but I am sure someone told me that wasn't a good thing to do I don't know if it's for performance reasons or I don't know.
But it won't change unless the file changes, like Elliot said. It's like, so
yeah,
I don't understand why that would be bad, right?
No.
If you change the file and then just set a manual version number on, you're doing exactly the same thing, aren't you?
Exactly. If someone understands why that's a bad thing, please let us know. But yeah, really good. So now we've got some polishing and finessing to do, and then just supporting them ongoing. They say they've got lots of projects, like phase 2 kind of projects in the pipeline. So I'm really excited to see where that goes, and we've learnt loads. We've learned absolutely loads, and hopefully we'll get time to put some content out to share some of the ways that we've built the site. We're thinking of even doing maybe some live talks and stuff, and plenty of YouTube content and stuff like that, just saying how we built this section of the site, like how we built the menu, how we built the search pop-up, how we built the custom blocks that we used, and all the kind of decisions that were made. I'm sure we didn't get it all kind of right, but I think we can just show people our workings, and hopefully people learn something from it.
If you have any questions about the site, then tweet us. Not tweet us. Well, I am on Twitter. You can tweet me, but I'm usually using Blue Sky these days. So
I'm trying to use Blue Sky.
And then we'll try and sort of concatenate the questions into some content. I'm not saying we'll answer them straight away, but like keep your powers peeled for like talks, videos, blog posts, and we'll try and answer them there.
Yeah. Hi to Tony who's joined late. That's nice to have you along, Tony. That's great. All right. Shall we move on then?
Absolutely.
So last night I was at WordPress London, or WPLDN, I think it is supposed to be called.
That was good. I couldn't go. It's annoying.
The meetup, yeah. So they had a festive special, and it was the main event was Dan Maybe versus Jamie Marsland in a speed build challenge, compared by Nathan Wrigley, WP Builds. Yep. So like 3 big hitters up on stage. It was pretty cool, actually. And it was really fun. It was the event as a whole was just brilliant. It was packed. So I don't know how many people were there, but about 70, I would say, something like that. I think I think the guest list was 70 in total, and it felt full. Really nice little venue. Possibly slightly too small for the number of people, but I don't know. For me, it felt like it gave it some atmosphere. Yeah. There was like sofas and chairs, and it was all like, it just felt kind of like half cafe, half living room, half classroom. It was quite a cool space. So that was fun. And then there was a WordPress pub quiz in the second half, which was really good. So we were in teams of like 5 or 6 people. I came second. It was good, actually. So I had a good team. Nick was on my team. Graham Armfield was on my team. And then there was a giveaway. They did their golden ticket giveaway for the MacBook Air. So if you'd been to one of the events since it restarted, I think, you got the opportunity to kind of put your name in the draw. On every event that you went to, you get another kind of ticket in the raffle. So yeah, that was pulled out, and it was Graham. It was my good old friend Graham Armfield won the MacBook Air, even though he's a Windows user.
Oh, he was.
So I don't know what he's going to do with it, but that was a really nice little moment, because he is probably, apart from me, the the person that's been going to that event the longest that was actually there.
Yep.
So that was really cool. He's been going to WordPress London and supporting that for a very, very long time. So it was really fun that it was him that won it.
Okay, that's good.
But yeah, so they did their speed build challenge, and it was interesting. They were both pretty stressed. Like it seemed. Well, per Dan, right? So Dan's apparently like the setup. Like they've got an amazing tech setup there these days. Like you saw it, Mark, when you gave your talk. They've got like cameras all over the place, mics, screens. Like it's really slick. But apparently it didn't go very well because like they're constantly having to change venue and everything's slightly different, and the setup was really stressful apparently. So Dan would be like flat out just trying to get the thing to work, and then suddenly the event's starting and suddenly he's doing this speed build challenge. He said his head was just all over the place and he's like literally sweating like trying to get it done. But so yeah, him and Jamie, and they were like, they had a pretty good crack at it. So Dan used generate press, was it? Yeah, generate blocks with the 2025 theme. Jamie used the 2024 theme because he's more familiar with that, he says. Yeah. So he wanted to use that, and they had to copy the Golden Hind website, which is a boat that's in a dry dock very close to the venue that we were in.
Golden Hind.
Yeah. HINDE. Yeah, so it was quite a simple. I was sort of disappointed because I thought that's a really simple design, and like it's almost too easy. There's not like a massive challenge there. But I tell you what, when you've only got half an hour to do it and you've got a bunch of people watching you, it's not easy at all.
How did they do the little boat that migrates across the screen?
They cleverly decided not to tackle the boat, the animated boat. So they also didn't do the drop-down menus. Like that's one of the things Nathan showed at the start. He's like, it'd be nice if you could replicate this menu. And they're like, no, I'm not even going to try that. So yeah. But yeah, it is the speed build challenges, I think. I mean,
who won?
Jamie
won.
Yeah, he pretty much got I think there was one section of the page he missed out, but he got like the header and the footer and most of the page done. Dan didn't really have a header or a footer. So yeah, Jamie definitely won it, but it was good crack, and there was like some good banter. Nathan did well comparing it, which was good. But yeah, I find with the speed builds, like maybe it's because I am familiar with the block editor, I don't find that I'm learning loads in those. I found the videos of Jamie's that I really like are the ones where he's like, how I built this layout using the block editor, where he's like, he shows you something cool and then shows you how he built it. Quite often with a cover block, he does amazing things with cover blocks, and like kind of fancy layouts and things. I like that more because I feel like when people are like rushing through something, you're not really learning the best way to do things.
I've said to you, unpopular opinion, but I'm not a fan, to be honest.
Yeah, I know you're not. Yeah,
I don't really see the benefit of like the speed aspect of it. We don't work like that. I mean, they're a bit of fun. I mean, I get that.
That's what it is.
Not going to go. It's good a bit of fun, but
yeah,
I said to you, I obviously wasn't there last night, but I would have thought it would have been difficult to actually deliver that in front of a live audience. And I know there's a few in the chats that have been to these before and had that. Obviously, the word camps, haven't they, and so on. I would imagine you'd need to be mic'd up so that you can talk to the audience as you're working.
They tried to do
rather
that,
than
just
work.
Yeah,
that would be interesting because you want to talk to them.
Yeah,
but then you've got two people, and I see the speed build challenges as there isn't really a need to have two people challenging against each other. You really want to. Personally, I want to watch one person build this website in a block editor. I just want to see how they do it. You know what I mean? And I watched the video with Matt Mullenweg and Jessica Lysichik. Is it? Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
And I constantly wanted to see both screens. I was like, I want to just see everything happening. You know, I don't want to be able to flip between the two or have someone else decide which screen I'm seeing. So I do wonder whether this challenge is more that like one person has a go and then another person has a go, and then you
watch
can
the whole
watch them
process.
both at different times. I think that'd be, from a personal point, that's what I'd prefer to see. But yeah, a bit of fun for sure. I mean, that's always good.
Yeah. No, it was. Yeah, and I think Elliot makes a really good point. He says it isn't exactly practical. It's a fantastic way for users to see the process and ask questions about the hows and whys of the editor. That and also, sorry, it was the one above that I was thinking of when he said, yeah, half the attendees didn't realize what's now possible with the editors. That's when I think Elliot did it at Cheltenham. And I think that's true. I think for people that are in page builder land, which is fine if that works for them, and they haven't looked at the block editor for a while, maybe in the last like 2 or 3 years, I think it might surprise them what you can do and how quick it can be, especially with like people that really understand it well. So
for me, it would be far better to have a talk which is then focused purely on that. Here's what you can do with the block editor. We're going to look at this website, the Golden Hind, and we're going to rebuild it I'm going to try and do it in 30 minutes. We're going to get as close as we can. I'm going to show you what the block editor can do. And I can focus on your screen. I can listen to what you're talking about, get your thought process as what you're doing, and really understand it. But I think when you throw another person into the mix, yes, it adds a bit of fun and a bit of competition and a bit of, but it doesn't really allow me to understand. I when I watched the one with Matt, there was an awful lot of Matt's screen on the screen, and not so much of Jessica's. And I was like, I want to watch Jessica's screen because like she seems to know what she's doing, and I want to see how she's doing this stuff. So anyway, that's just my opinion about. Lots of people love them. So
the other thing I think I would like is more of a debrief. So a bit more chat afterwards about like people asking questions about, because it was hard to follow.
Yeah,
what was because I found myself at one point saying, have they set up the typography rules and the color palettes? And I don't remember seeing them do that. I'm not sure if they've done it. I kind of wanted a chance afterwards to ask them questions about why they'd approached it in the way that they approached it. But it was fun. Like there was a lot of excitement and not heckling, but there was like cheering and like it was good. It was good.
And that's good. Yeah. I think for a Christmas edition of a meetup, it probably was perfect. Like I said, a bit of fun and a bit of heckling.
I like Joss's idea here. Maybe taking turns of 30 seconds, almost like a chess timer. You do a bit and then hit your button, and then the other person has to go, and then they do a bit and they hit their button. That'd be funny.
Oh dear.
Yeah, but what a phenomenon though, like that Jamie created with those. Like, yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. He's trying to get me to do one, but I'm not.
I think you'd be really good at one, actually. I think you'd be really. When we were on that client call talking about how to use the block editor, the number of times the client said, "Oh my God, look at him go! He's so quick. How does he do that? Look at that!" And I think because you've used the block editor a lot now, I do think you'd be good at it as well.
I did find myself watching it last night, thinking,
yeah.
I could do this. Like I just looked at the page. I was like, "That's easy." I
feel like this instead.
That. Yeah, but it's so different when you're under pressure. So different. Like, and I could the thing that scares me about doing it is that I'd get caught up in something that I just. Do you know the way like the block editor has all these weird like the alignment issues? The joke that we have between ourselves, just put it in a group, it'll probably fix it. Like it's that kind of thing, and like hitting that inner blocks use content width button, just toggling that to see if it fixes things, stuff like
that's
that.
That's my fix for everything. If in doubt, put it in a group, and if that doesn't work, then toggle that thing on the right hand side. That I don't really understand what it does, but it usually fixes everything, and then you're good.
I do understand what it does now, so yeah, I've got there in the end. But yeah, no, it was good, and what a great event. And I just have to say to that team that are just like they're doing such a great job with WordPress London. So yeah, I hope to make a few more events in 2025.
Yeah. If you're listening, Dan and Nathan, and is it Paul, the other chap who does
Paul? Yeah, Paul Smart. Yeah,
I'm trying to convince Keith to come and do a talk with me about this build. So
yeah,
hopefully early next year we'll be able to come down and talk about.
Dan was badgering me again last night about giving a talk. So yeah, I should do.
It'll be good.
Yes, right. Let's move on. So, Mark, do you want to give the setup to what happened this morning with this call, and just give a bit of background and what we're thinking?
So we've called this "Should we be more proactive?" I
Mm.
suppose the answer is yes, obviously. But the reason for this, we had a client meeting this morning, called out of the blue, which is always like, that's an interesting one. And essentially, the client has decided to go with a proprietary web building platform that provides everything in a package that they're going to want forever. I mean, I'd argue they're not going to get that, but that's what they
They're
think they're
not.
going to get.
They're not.
It comes with a nice price, everything's together, everything talks to each other, and so on.
Mhm.
And then when we came to like, well, what does it do for you? A lot of it we could do. We can deliver that for you. We could deliver this bit for you. We could connect your forms to a MailChimp or whatever you call it, transactional email or whatever for campaigns, and then hook those into other things and set up, or certainly guide you in terms of like setting up. What do they call where you send an email the day after another one and
Yeah.
routes for that sort of thing? That's just an example, but that sort of thing. And the client was like, well, you haven't really been giving us those ideas and so forth. And we sort of sat there and thought, well, I suppose we haven't really. So
Mm.
how do you be more proactive then with your customers without sounding too salesy as well? Because it's all very well going to the client and saying, oh, we could do this for it, it'd be fantastic, and that'll be 10 grand. It just sounds like a sales promotion rather than actually we think this will be really good for you.
Yeah.
Because it's going to deliver X, Y, and Z. I mean, I've got loads of ideas, a few ideas for the school that we've just built. They could do so many cool things with the website. So how do you keep that proactivity going on with the client? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. This is a really difficult one for me because there is a part of me that feels like we should be doing more for our retainer clients.
Yeah.
But it's not through lack of wanting to do things for them and like wanting to help them. We just haven't structured our retainers in a way where that's a part of it. Like that we're like regularly reviewing things and suggesting things. We obviously go through the build process, and then I feel like the retainers we have are reactive retainers. They're proactive in the sense of like the standard stuff, like the updates, the backups, and stuff like that. But in terms of actual like pushing the website forward, we don't really do that. Like we do, we set up weekly or monthly calls with clients so that there's constantly checking in and stuff. That was one of the problems, is we ended up not doing that with this client because they never made the calls. Like it was difficult for them to schedule. They missed so many calls. And in the end, we were just like, we can't keep blocking this out in our schedule just for there to be a no-show. And I think that really ended up harming the relationship. But that wasn't through us not wanting to do those. Like we love doing that with our clients. Like I'm actually really disappointed when people cancel their monthly calls or whatever, because I like that opportunity to check in, see how things are going. But we don't come to those calls with ideas.
Yeah, here's a list of things that we've thought about you could do in the next 2 months or whatever.
So can we do that? And what does that look like? And how often do you do it? And how do you present it? And because
we're not sat inside their business, so we don't know what their priorities are.
Exactly.
So you could spend an hour coming up with ideas that are just never ever going to get off the table because that's not what we want to do.
Well, yeah, they said, this new team, they're going to do all this stuff with our SEO. I'm like, I didn't even really know you were trying to rank for things. And to be honest, if you look at the website, you've done nothing regarding SEO. So,
but then
if you come to us and said, look, we need to rank higher. We're doing this push. What can you do to kind of enable that, assist us, give us the right platform? We'd have had loads of ideas for them, because there's so much low-hanging fruit. They're not doing even some of the basics right.
But the counter argument to that is that, why didn't you come to me and say, well, your page title's not right on this page? Because actually we probably knew that, and like no one doesn't want to rank better.
Well, it needs to be a part of what we deliver then, because we don't, during our like pitching process and stuff, we always say like, are you working with anyone on the SEO side? Because we're not selling that, because we're not SEOs. So I think going back to the start of the project, they probably said at some point, "Oh yeah, we'll work with such and such," or I don't know, or it wasn't a priority then, or whatever. But if someone says it's a priority, like we'll give them advice and we'll make sure things are put in place. But yeah, it's a really I find it a really tricky one. Like, and having come away from that call and us both saying to each other we should do more proactively, I still don't know what that is. I still don't know what that looks like.
Anyone got any advice on how do they be more proactive with clients? Or you like us, you go into the weekly, monthly meetings and you kind of listen to the client. The client's like, well, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do this, I'd like to, and then you offer solutions and suggestions of the best way in which to achieve that within the the website. That's kind of where we are. Whereas maybe some of our clients actually want us to come to those meetings and say, have you thought about doing X? Have you thought about doing Y? Have you thought about doing A, B, and C? And then we can suggest solutions as to how to get there if they then go away and decide that is a priority.
Yeah. It's hard because, like you said, like we're not in their business. We don't actually know how their website is performing for them.
Yeah.
Because we're not on top of their analytics, or we don't have targets to hit regarding that kind of stuff. And even if we did, like we said, we're not SEO people. So what are we and we're not copywriters, and we're not conversion rate optimization. Like, we've got broad knowledge, but not deep knowledge, in those areas. So I don't really know what we can offer, but like you said, we could make sure the basics are covered probably better than we do on an ongoing basis.
I think we probably should do that. Mark says, thank you, Mark. Clients often don't know what they want until an expert suggests it. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I write to them every 6 months with new ideas. How do you come up with those new? That's a good idea, by the way. But how do you come up with those new ideas? Do you log ideas like throughout those 6 months, or do you have a period of I'm going to sit down for the morning of this day and come up with some ideas for them? And how do you know what they want to do to come up with those ideas? Where they're trying to go as a business. It'd be interesting to see. Elliot says, send a weekly or monthly email report. Yeah, I think weekly is probably a bit too often for our clients, but monthly maybe. This is what you can do. Do you have anything that you need advice on? Yeah, I like that. And we tend to use the call. Like, we have a monthly call with most of our clients to sort of do that. What do you need advice on? That's kind of what the call is. But I do suppose there are quite a few clients, obviously the websites that we built them are so good that they just don't need any help from them. So
yeah,
they often cancel. It's like, I have nothing to discuss this week, this month. The website's working great. It's doing exactly what we want.
Yeah.
Maybe we should either insist that that's not the, we do want to have a chat, or at that point we send them an email and like, here's some ideas, here's some, just to communicate with them a bit more. That's a good idea.
Yeah. And I just don't want it to be a constant list of sales items.
Yeah.
As in, we can do this for you and it will cost this. We can also do this and it will cost this. And then what about this thing? And here's the price for that. I don't want that to feel like that.
It just sounds like you're pitching them to sell them something, which I suppose you are ultimately. So maybe just don't hide away from it and say, well, that's, we could do any of these things and you pick which one, if you want one of them or none of them. It's up to you. I don't know. But yeah, tough one.
What was really interesting as well, so this is a recruitment company and they're talking about SEO. And this week we've been doing some pretty cool work around that space. And we never have the opportunity. Like, they didn't come to us and say, we're having problems ranking. Can you help us fix it? And we could have suggested maybe the thing that we've just kind of been working on. We kind of never got that chance because that communication just wasn't, I don't know. Yeah. It's a shame, but definitely something for us to work on.
Even stuff like that, though, it's like, I don't know whether this is going to fix your ranking or help your ranking. I don't know. I've got a fairly good idea. It's not going to be harmful and it's going to help, but I don't know. I don't know whether you're going to do this for 2 months and all of a sudden you're going to have a 25% increase in traffic from organic SEO. I have no idea. My instinct and everything about it tells me that it will be good. Like, there's nothing to say it won't be, but I don't know. So to convince the client and say, well, take a punt at it,
And it's money. Like, these aren't cheap things to do as well. Yeah. Again, so yeah, tricky. I like next comment here. he says, in their eyes, your basics are likely far more advanced. And that is a very, very good point. Stuff that we just think it looks so obvious and easy and,
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
actually, oh, wow, yeah, amazing for them. So there's probably loads of value that we could offer just with a quick scan. Like, I was looking at the site as we were on the call with them this morning, and I saw a problem with like the single job template. I was like, where'd that come from? And I hadn't seen it. And if we just quickly glanced through the site at some point in the last little while, we would have seen that and been able to fix it. And I guess it's things like that as well, isn't it? It'd be nice for them to get an email from us saying, oh, by the way, I saw this thing, it's fixed.
But having a thing like that, I think, so just for reference, there was just some padding on the main content on the left-hand side, so it's just kind of shuffling to the right slightly. It wasn't like,
just an alignment
like 10, 12 pixels. It was like, we spotted it. Do you know what? I bet they hadn't even spotted it. No, that's the thing. But part of me thinks, if you fix that and then tell them that you fixed it, they're like, well, it shouldn't have broken in the first place. So what you're telling me, like, it's not an achievement that you've done there.
Yeah.
Like, but that's what I think is difficult, because sometimes they don't even think that's a good thing. So,
yeah.
Hey ho.
Yeah. Stuff to think about and sort out though. But yeah, very good. Mark, anything else you want to chat about today, or should we wrap it up? Like
I think we should wrap it up. We've done half an hour. There was a newish email out for what's new for developers, which is probably very interesting, but I haven't really had a chance to read it.
Yeah.
So if you're not on the mailing list, you can have a look at that. It's on the developer.wordpress.org/news. All the sort of developer stuff that's coming up. That's the December 2024 edition, which was out on the 10th of December, which is 3 days ago. So do have a look through that if you're a developer using full site editing and a block editor. Probably worth a look.
Before we go, are we doing one on the 20th? Are we going to do a show next week? I'm up for it.
Yeah, we can do.
Yeah.
Nothing else on. So
yeah, a little celebratory before we break up for Christmas. Yeah, that'll be good. Are we breaking up for Christmas after that? I don't even know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Really.
Yeah, we should be. Yes, we are.
When's Christmas Day anyway? Christmas Day is Wednesday.
Yeah.
We've got 2 calls booked in then, apparently.
on Christmas Day.
According to the calendar. I think they must be just recurring ones.
They're the recurring weekly ones. Yeah. Cool. So hopefully we'll see you all next week for a little Christmas special. I shouldn't say Christmas special. There'll be nothing special about next week's show. It'll be a regular show just before Christmas. But thanks for joining us today. It's been great to have you all along. As always, thank you for your comments. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And as always, follow us on socials. Give us a like. Subscribe if you like this kind of thing. Those little things, the likes and the shares, are really, really important. And we got a couple of retweets after asking for it last week. So appreciate that kind of thing, because it does just spread the show to a slightly wider audience, and hopefully we can kind of help a few more people in their WordPress journeys. But until next week, have a good one. Bye.
See you next week. Bye-bye.